Thanks for joining us here at Fresh Outlook. Our next topic, thousands of undocumented women and children have crossed the borders and have been sent to small cities in Texas, Arizona, and California. Now, some say these families must be protected, but others are calling their small towns a dumping ground and asking why all the secrecy and why are the rights of the citizens being taken away. It's a showdown we have never seen yet in this country. Let's have a look.
Welcome, immigrants. That's President Barack Obama's message on the 4th of July.
Every one of us, unless we're Native American, has an ancestor who was born somewhere else.
Obama is struggling on two fronts in the immigration debate. His drive for Congress to pass reforms collapsed when Speaker John Boehner told him the House would not hold a vote. Along the southern border in Texas, the White House is trying to get a handle on the tens of thousands of children from Central America.
The basic idea of welcoming immigrants to our shores is central to our way of life. It is in our DNA. We're going to have to fix our immigration system, which is broken, and pass common sense immigration reform.
At the White House ceremony, 25 people were sworn in as citizens. They came from 15 countries, ranging from Australia to Guatemala to the Philippines to Ukraine.
So I'm going to keep doing everything I can do to keep making our immigration system smarter and more efficient, so hardworking men and women, like all of you, have the opportunity to join the American family and to serve our great nation.
Obama has vowed to take executive actions on his own to make it easier for undocumented people to remain in the United States. But most of the recent migrants will be sent home.
Now, from our D.C. studios, we also want to welcome Edward Hudgins. He's the Director of Advocacy from the Atlas Society. Welcome, and thanks for joining us on this July 4th weekend. Well, we are seeing unprecedented numbers, 60 to 80,000 children coming into this country at a cost of $160 million, mainly from Central America. We have not seen something like this in years. You know, we were just talking about the Hobby Lobby controversy. This may even be bigger. A bigger problem for this country. I want to start off with Dee Dee and just your thoughts on this. And there's two sides on this. There's a humanitarian side, and then of course is the side about the United States taking in all these refugees.
Yeah, enough is enough. We need to send them back. And the reason for that is because it's costing Americans so much money, hundreds of billions of dollars that our children could use, that the vets could use, that Americans could use. How about America First? And I'm sorry, they are illegals. We need to send them back. It is, look, we're going to have refugee camps. In fact, we already do. We have got illegal aliens on military posts now. Yeah. It is absolutely ridiculous. This needs to stop, and I really do think this might be I mean, look, Obama has so many gates. This might be his worst one yet.
Oh, no, we want to talk about, like, when the Mexican children and women are brought into this country, they're immediately sent back. But this is an entirely different group coming in from Central America.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, this is an issue where both sides are right. The Democrats are right and the Republicans are right. That is to say, the United States needs to protect its territorial integrity for a whole host of reasons, to protect its own citizens, to take care of its citizens, and to protect its national security. On the other hand, you have a lot of people here who are extraordinarily productive, who have come, and it's really not realistic to send them back without being extraordinarily tyrannical, which would violate some of our basic principles. So what you really need to do is for Democrats and Republicans to come together. The tragedy is that
really going to happen?
Well, the tragedy is that Speaker Boehner, because he's the prisoner of an extremist faction, the Tea Party, is unwilling to sit down and come forth with some reasonable proposals. The administration has tried to do that many times, but the Republican side has refused. So what we're going to have is, as long as gridlock on this issue keeps going, what we will see is these influx of people coming in, and we will get more and more stories about the tragedies and the horrors of that. And we need to sit down.
There are certainly some tragedies and some horror stories of these people being brought into these countries, and the rights of the citizens of these towns in California, Arizona.
Yeah, what about their rights? What about the Americans? These towns are to be overrun. What about Americans first?
Let's check in with our D.C. guest, Dr. Hudgins. You've been listening to the panel right now. What are your thoughts on this whole issue right now taking place with all these Central American?
Well, really, you've got a couple of issues. Both sides are mistaken and are responsible in part for the situation now. I would say the side right now most responsible is Obama and the Obama administration. they were quite clear in saying to refugee or to people in Central America and elsewhere, come on, if you can get across the border, we want you. I mean, the Democrat, you know, one of the Democratic congresswomen, a couple of them are down there giving out lollipops to people coming in. They're eventually saying, come in, Sheila Jackson Lee, yeah, one of the stupider creatures in the Congress. It's terrible. And creating a potential human tragedy with overcrowding diseases, again, with underage children. This goes squarely on Obama's shoulders. But let's take a look at the bigger picture and see where both sides are wrong. The Democrats see immigrants, and Hispanics especially, as potential recipients of every kind of government handout. What they want to do is bring these people in, give them amnesty, and then citizenship so they can vote for Democrats. They want to make this part of the Democrat constituency within the Democrat welfare state setup. They're wrong about that. The Republicans are wrong as well. And the reason why is that, in fact, yes, this country was built by immigrants. My mother's name was Lucia Giovina di Carmelo. I'm a half Italian, okay? My wife's mother came from Israel. Immigrants came here and built this country. Republicans, rather than being irritated that people come here illegally, should understand the problem is the government and a broken immigrant system. After all, what is more American than to say, I can't get through the stupid bureaucrats in the United States, so I'm just going to come here illegally, stand out in front of a Home Depot, work my butt off, and realize the American dream, rather than staying in my country and watching my family and myself suffer in poverty.
Well, Dr.
These
Hudgins,
people are doing the morally right thing. It's the United States government, both the Republicans and Democrats, who refuse to create a system that allows decent, hardworking people from Central America, Mexico, to come here and getting rid of the gang members and all.
I happen to agree with you that many immigrants that do come into this country are sometimes the most patriotic people that there are.
The ones who do it legally,
but
and a lot of people do it legally.
Well, I mean, how is this possible?
People from Turkey, people from Germany, people from Canada, people from Mexico. They do it legally, not illegally.
People have come to the United States legally and illegally throughout history.
If
you really want to come for economic opportunity, people will find out a way to come here. What the real issue is
why
people...
are we trying to attract these folks from Central America?
I don't think we're trying to attract them.
There's two issues here.
There's
two issues. There is the huge immigration reform issue with tens of millions of American and our 200-year history of welcoming folks from overseas, which is where we all came from, including all my grandparents. That's going to be worked on for a long time, and it's not going to happen this year. Then we have a smaller, more discrete, more finite, more manageable issue, and that is that about 8,000 unaccompanied minors a month are coming in, which is about double what it used to be. And there's a bunch of arguments as to why, but we can deal with that. We can deal with it, if nothing else, by spending the money to speed up our administrative processes, because we have laws and processes on the books that can take care of kids both from Mexico and from Central America.
It's a lot of people. There's already 11 million undocumented.
But again, if we try to solve the 11 million person problem to deal with these 50,000 person problem, then it's going to take us a long time.
That's right. I think you're right.
So we shouldn't decide that we have to fix the whole world. Let's not boil the ocean.
Hang on, Dr. Hudgins, we'll get to you in just 1 minute.
We don't have to boil the ocean in order to just figure out this one problem, which is doable within the current law, within the current budget, within the current processes.
Dr. Hudgins, weigh in on that, please.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with the underage kids coming in, first of all, there is a process that nobody pays any attention to. There's a process in which you're supposed to go to a hearing if you're here, et cetera, et cetera. Nobody does it, okay? Once they're here, they kind of know that they're here, and they're not going to be sent back. And again, the administration bears the responsibility for this, for getting the message out that send everybody you want over the border. We will take care of them at taxpayers' expense. That's very different from people coming here, even illegally, because they want to work hard and realize the American dream.
I have to disagree with that.
We can't let these people die or starve, but the point is the administration has created this potentially human tragedy. And remember, you've got overcrowding, you've got diseases, you've got all these kind of things. It's going to cost the taxpayer money because the administration has been so irresponsible in this area.
Well, I actually have a friend who's actually working on the border right now, and some of these kids do bring in, of course, some diseases, and a lot of these smaller towns. What about the rights of the folks like in Marietta, California and all along Arizona and other states. I mean, there's a real problem for those folks.
Well, there is a problem, but I just want to get back to one point here. Vice President Biden traveled specifically to some Latin American countries to send the message clearly that the United States does not support the entry of these children. Now, I agree with you that the administration could be more aggressive in sending out the message, but to say that the administration is encouraging it really does not
They're playing ads in those countries.
comply with the
They're playing
facts.
those countries.
It
It's
really does not
absolutely
comply with the
coordinated.
facts.
It's too many
As
people
to the
coming
people
over.
of Marietta, Georgia, the people who are being brought are not being brought to settle in Marietta, or I'm sorry, it's not Marietta, Georgia.
Marietta, California.
Right, it's California, I'm sorry. Not being brought to
You had
settle there, they're
Nancy
being brought to
Pelosi
be
on the border
processed
basically saying,
under the
welcome,
laws of the
welcome,
United
welcome.
States.
Come on.
Now, if we believe in the laws of the United States, then we need the system to work its way. They're not being brought to be settled there, they're being brought to be processed by the immigration
They need
laws.
to take the bus back to wherever it came from, give them a box lunch and move them on.
The
They're legal.
processing, because the federal bureaucracy is so slow, the processing has taken years. And so the signal to the teenager from Guatemala is, I go to the U.S. and I'm there for many years, I can disappear, and I can essentially become an American. And that's not the fault of the kid from Guatemala, it's our own bureaucracy.
Right.
Well, if you look
that's
at some
all
of the-
related to the
we're enforcing
gridlock.
nothing.
That's all related to the gridlock. Are the Republicans willing to spend the
it's not
money
just-
and
you know, do not blame
to hire the
Republicans for this. That's all you
staff
want
that
to
will
say.
I think the
identify
$2
them?
billion is
Democrats-
going to get approved.
We need to build a
Let's
wall,
hear from
too.
Dr. Hudgins.
But not only the Republicans, are they willing to do the right thing and basically say we need to fix the system and we want to welcome immigrants who have values that are closer, frankly, to
Legally.
the Republicans than the Democrats. But are the Democrats willing to basically say, we don't want to bring you here to put you on the Democrat plantation and give you every kind of imaginable handout? That's unfortunately the Democrats' whole raison d'etre is
think
to
that's
get
a
more
simplistic
people
view of the
on
Democratic
welfare. And
position.
so I blame them. Look, I mean, that's what Obamacare was about. The hospitals are shutting down in a lot of these border states because
They can't afford it.
They can't
required
afford
to
it.
treat people, and they don't turn them away, but they don't get payment.
Look,
There is a
Americans should not
tragedy
have to pay for these
because the
illegal
Democrats
aliens.
want to do the welfare thing and the Republicans are doing the wrong moral thing.
Now, from the moral standpoint, there is that point when you see these children on these buses, these women on these buses, and they're struggling, and you know they've had a terrific struggle, and they've had coming from areas that are impoverished. There's a lot of violence, and they have these promises from so many people that it's going to get better when they get here.
Well, we have impoverished children as well, and we have vets not getting care as well. I say we take care of our own first, send them back on the bus, give them a box lunch, and move them on because they're illegals. They should go back to their own country.
I don't think we have to choose between doing what's right and doing what's humanitarian. I think we can do both. And certainly it's heartbreaking to think of these young kids on buses in the heat. But on the other hand, by not processing them quickly and then taking them back to their original town, we are encouraging more to do that.
Absolutely.
And we're only going to exacerbate the problem, unfortunately.
Dr. Saunders, very quickly.
Yeah, well, look,
By the way,
States
one
Hang
other
on,
point
Dr.
you should keep in mind.
Dr. Huggins, we're going to get to you in 2 seconds. Dr.
Look, the
Saunders,
United
quickly.
States has been an attractive magnet for economic reasons for the centuries that it's existed. So these people are coming for the same reasons that immigrants came for all these years. What we really need to do is to address, as you pointed out, a short-term solution to deal with these children. It'll take money, it'll take personnel, it'll take commitment from the administration and from the Congress.
Quickly.
And then separately deal with the broader issue. I agree with you completely.
Dr. Huggins, final thoughts.
Yeah, final thought is in the long term, the other thing we have to do is is to export the free market philosophy, which unfortunately the Obama administration doesn't believe in, because if you had prosperous free markets in Central America and elsewhere, people would probably stay in their own countries because they would have the economic opportunities. The reason they don't is that they basically already have what the Obama administration is trying to give this country, and that is collapsing welfare states.
Well, Dr. Edward Huggins, we thank you for your fresh outlook, Director of Advocacy at the Atlas Society. Always a pleasure to have you here. Much more coming up, everyone, including a lighter look at this week's topics. The lightning round is next.